Just post into the groups. Okay. I'll just pop this back. Hopefully everything works. And I guess with that we can start. So, hello everyone. Nice to meet you. My name is Martin, and welcome to Know Enough AI to Be Dangerous. What it is, it's a traditional meetup that I'm organizing and hosting every Wednesday, where I get to babble around all things AI and connect with people who are very much like-minded. We try to go through the entire cut of the AI sphere, starting from traditional services, subscriptions, local models, cool open source repositories that you can start using today or tomorrow. What does it actually mean? A tiny bit of philosophy. And then we basically just open the board up. And since we have quite enough people here today, after the slides are finished, we will split into smaller pots so we can actually better connect with each other and, exchange information and actually talk about what annoys us and how to work better. My name is Martin. I've been organizing these meetups for over a year now. And that's pretty much it. That's all there is to it. We do have guest speakers today, which are folks from Rumata. They created a very cool solution for basically executing the entire flow from start to finish to the actual deployment. To the actual deployment on one platform. So they want to talk a little bit more about that. I don't know what's the underlying tech behind that, but hopefully it's going to be cool. I'm very eager to know and learn as well. So without further ado, let's start with some slides. I want to keep it short and sweet so we can get into the nitty-gritty stuff. What are we going to cover? We're going to cover Claude Fable 5, which is the first model that came on the Mythos grade parameter and capability scale. What does it mean for us? Yet another new model from Frontier Lab. Should we be excited for that? Who the hell knows? We have benchmarks which are stale. We have claims that have proven to be shaky. Not only from Anthropic, but from many of the major labs. So we'll have to dig deep and discover. Case in point, these slides were actually generated by Fable. And for those who are regular on these meetups, you can notice that they're not quite up to par with the spacing, bullet points, and everything else. So take out of that what you will. Both Opus and Fable had the very same design templates that they were supposed to follow. They had the very same rule set that they were supposed to follow. So far, not that impressed. But that might change WWDC, Siri runs Gemini. This is a bit of a stale piece of news, but it was finally rolled out. Apple gave up on AI, pretty much. They're in the different market, different sector. They could have chased it, chose not to. I think it's sensible. They partner up with Google, and iPhone also opened up, so OpenAI doesn't really have a foothold as being the primary and the only provider on that platform. Currently, you can switch, pick and choose whichever one of the major frontier labs you want. From my piece of the ponds, Minimax M3 is supposed to drop tomorrow. It's a frontier grade model, and we have one more chair over here, or you can grab more chairs from over there. There is one more over here. Someone wants to join? Oh, perfect, thank you. So, Minimax M3, the open weights will be or should be posted on Hugging Face tomorrow, which is going to be particularly cool if you are deploying large apps, if you are deploying something that needs frontier level intelligence and you want to self-host it. We expect that it's going to be somewhere around 500 billion parameters. Hopefully it will be the big one, like a trillion parameter boy, but who knows. We do have a simple playbook on what to get started with. Compliance clock is ticking. US, I think it's Colorado, which is the first state that is introducing AI laws, which are going to be a little bit restrictive, especially if you're selling to those markets. And if I'm not mistaken, in August, very first AI Compliance Act will pass in Europe. So again, if you're developing anything that has to do anything with AI, just make sure that you're staying on top of that, especially in Europe, because that's a regulatory nightmare. So be very careful. You might get fines, even if you didn't mean to. Some cool repos, and yeah, that's pretty much it. Claude Fable 5, Frontier, it went public. And so far, I've read a couple of reviews. I read some of the comments from people who are actually using real code bases. And apparently it triggers and trips on security, it triggers and trips on health questions, and it just doesn't really want to continue. But in theory, and what they're currently trying to reel in, is that the moment the query actually hits some of those guardrails, it will get routed to Opus 4.8, which I think it's actually quite sensible. If I want to do a cybersecurity task and Mythos basically says, nope, I want to have nothing with this, it can bump the task and pass it along the line to Opus 4.8.
I think my app asked me today, I think on standard it's on, but you can turn it off, and then instead of popping up to Opus, it will just stop. So the app asked me what I want today when I update it.
Okay. Now, in general, how does that make you feel? Because we are used to these agentic flows where you fire off a prompt and it works for like 2-3 hours.
Or if you have that, it would suck when it just stops.
Well, yeah. I would rather have it bump to Opus. And if I may ask, are you using a subscription or API? Okay. Apparently the guardrails are not supposed to be that strong on the API-based access. It's mostly around the subscriptions, which, by the way, if you are paying for Anthropic's Max Pro, etc., you are going to get it for 1 week or 2 weeks, 1 week. Until 22nd, right?
Yeah, but it's for everyone. I just like the basic one and the second.
Now, usually what we get access to is sort of kind of watered down version of these models because they're executing the tool calls in batches. It's a little bit slower than if you directly query through API. But in reality, I think it would be a very good sample to see if whatever you're building actually works better with this new model. But I mean, this is the thing that kills it for me. I don't know about you guys, but $50 per million tokens out. That honestly, that kind of sucks. Like if it came out with the same price grade as Opus, fine. But they're effectively broadcasting like 3% increase in some of the benches. Some of them like 20% because the bench was not updated for 2 years. But like for a 3% increase, a 2x increase in price. We kind of had this thing with GPT 5.5 versus 5.4. Don't know if you remember, it was, 3 weeks ago, so ages, like years ago in AI terms. 5.4 was actually way more token efficient because it was cheaper. So for the same grade of output and the things that we were kind of, I don't really want to say benching, but at least from personal experiences of people in these AI groups, 5.4 extra high against 5.5 medium, you got the same quality of output. 5.5 claimed they were more token efficient, but in reality, because it was more expensive, you actually paid more in the end. So I don't know, like these incremental increases are kind of meh. The thing is, and I think it was Boris from Anthropic's team, they said that, yeah, this is a rollout, that's completely fine. They're going to tweak some things under the hood. So we might as well get like a truly good agentic first model from Anthropic for a week. I don't know. Fable 5.5. I don't know what to take of it. So yeah, window closes June 22nd. It's like, why split this into 2 slides, Fable? WWDC 2026. Apple basically opens its iPhone and its entire ecosystem to more providers, which I'm kind of okay with. Your search and ask panel basically can hand queries to ChatGPT, Claude, or Gemini now. This is particularly powerful, and I keep reiterating this over and over again. If you are a small business, the best bang for the buck, hands down, for $20, get Google's Gemini and the ecosystem. You get storage, you get access to Vertex AI, you get access to tools like Flow, Stitch, etc. Think design, like, oh, Anthropic rolled out Claude Design. That was already a thing in Google's ecosystem. So best bang for the buck, hands down, always will be, for now, Google's Gemini. If you are coding with it, do not use Gemini, please. It's just not that good. It's slow, it trips, it fails a lot of times, and it can get stuck in loops. They even don't know how to solve for this. So yeah, you can now hook in your Claude, ChatGPT, or Gemini. And Tim Cook basically said goodbye. John Turnus is going to take over as a CEO September 1st. What is interesting about Apple's ecosystem in general, if you want to run local models, it's the best entry gateway to running your models locally. Apple Silicon is incredibly powerful. If you are running Mac Minis, I know a lot of people just went on a craze with OpenClaw and all of these agentic systems and purchased these Mac Minis. And a lot of them are just sitting there on the shelf. Start utilizing them. That silicon is absolutely fantastic for things like speech to text, text to speech, for embeddings, for running your own databases, for running your own infrastructure. You can do that on that Mac silicon super efficiently. So I would say take a look into that, especially if you want to go towards like self-sovereign stack and self-sovereign infrastructure. But I mean, that's pretty much it.
Which of the Macs?
Honestly, any. even M1.
M3
M3 is no problem.
versus M5. What's the difference in M3 and M5 as far as like?
It's an incremental increase, I think about 25 or 30% between these generations.
I'm not sure they released the M5 Mini.
M5 Mini, no. M4 Mini is the latest one.
M4 is the latest.
So they're not
But
really-
I know he's talking more about laptops, to be honest.
yeah.
Yeah, so, yeah, we know each other. Insta-click. But yeah, in general, the difference is like minor increments, but it's a little bit more pronounced in the Max series. And that's because Max can utilize 800 gigabit per second memory bus, and added tops on top of that actually can utilize local models way better. And we're talking about the increase from, let's say, M1 Max, Qwen 3.5, A3B, the 35 billion model. You would run it roughly at, I don't know, 15, 20 tokens per second on M1 Max. You can achieve a very usable 60, 70, 80 tokens per second on M5. So it's a little bit more pronounced on the higher end. For the bottom end, the best possible application, and I highly implore you, if you're paying for things like WhisperFlow, you don't necessarily need to, just run it locally. Things like Mac Parakeet or Flow, we can show them later on. Absolutely usable and feasible for these use cases. You can start replacing most of the apps that you are paying for with locally hosted ones. Minimax M3. SWE Bench Pro, which is the good one. It's reporting roughly the same numbers as GPT 5.5. Thing to take away from all of these benches and tests, like it's our straw. It's very hard to get the feel for the model if you're not using it for a week. So we are using these benches to basically evaluate something. A lot of them got hacked. A lot of them actually contain the results in the actual repo. It's kind of iffy. But this one is like, borderline okay. What they usually don't tell you is that this could have been running on max thinking, whereas they were measuring it against GPT 5.5 medium or something similar. So it's not always apples to apples. And take a very close look at most of the marketing papers from these frontier labs. Usually you see, oh, we're so good compared to our last model and our competitors running at low or running at medium. So take a close look into this, and again, I would say definitely try this one when it comes out, especially if you're running things like OpenClaw, Hermes Agent, etc. Minimax and Kimi are two labs that are primarily focused on agentic flows. So tool calling, large context window reasoning, needle in a haystack, all of these things are baked into the model as they're trying to serve the current clientele. They're trying to sell tokens. And the way to sell them is to start selling to agents. So give it a go. It might be a good thing, especially if you are primarily running on something that's way more expensive, like GPT through API or Anthropic's Opus through API. You might be very pleasantly surprised. I know a couple of people who completely switched and they're currently in the Kimi ecosystem, and they're very happy about it. They even use it for coding, which, okay. But yeah, Chinese models, definitely don't sleep on them. If not for anything, it gives you an opportunity to pivot if things change. Most prominent change that is going into practice, I think, in 5 days, if I'm not mistaken, June 15th, is the discontinuation of Anthropic's Agents SDK and Claude-P, which is going to affect a lot of developers who built on top of that infrastructure. What it means, for those who don't know, you were paying for a subscription, you paid $200, you created your own app, you wanted to bake in AI into your app, so you use this library, use this development kit, you communicated with your subscription, no problem. You are utilizing the subsidized lane. Now they put a stop to that. You have to pay for the API cost. They are giving you, and that's going to be in effect from, well, June 15, you will be able to claim whatever is your subscription cost in the credits. You're on 200, click, you have $200 worth of API credits that you can utilize through Claude-P or Agents SDK. That's very cool, but then you look at the pricing and suddenly it's not that cool because you're getting 4 million tokens for Fable. I mean, that's honestly not that much. But yeah, waits are pending, so we're waiting. We expect them to land on Hugging Face, as is the usual case. We don't know about the licensing, and this is a thing that we touched upon multiple times. Ever since Kimi K2.5 was not attributed by Cursor, which was actually a big deal when you think about it, we don't know what's the future of these open weight models and what will be the licensing for them. So try to orient yourself more towards the smaller models, because even the older, smaller models are absolutely feasible for specific business use cases. Notable entries in that sector: Gemma 4, 12 billion parameter, Quen 3.5, 9 billion parameter. If you are running massive operations that need to process a ton of data, running these small models in parallel on a massive rig or on a big scale deployment actually gives you really good results for very little cost compared to what you would normally pay routing all of this through frontier models. Oh, what a beautiful slide. Thank you, Fable. Yeah, small and medium businesses. We get this question asked quite a lot. Okay, AI is cool. What the hell do I even do with that? Like, I can chat with AI, I can put some document there, tell me X, tell me Y, but how do I actually apply it for a business, in a business use case? We have a couple of pathways that you can take. A, there is an absolute abundance of services that spawns from this AI craze. They're usually utilizing AI to provide a very specific workflow, very specific domain vertical, and try to flip it into a data transformation. What can you do, and where should you start? The most obvious, or like the easiest pathway to start would be Claude Cowork, funnily enough. Claude Cowork gives you, out of the box, a sandboxed environment. Whatever you put in lives there. Whatever executes there. You can actually feed it a good amount of documentation. You can connect it to external services. And you can start creating these managed agents. They eat a little bit of cost, but they're very narrowly focused. And the AI itself can actually help you construct them. So it's a very good place to start. I would say, and I keep reiterating this, pick one thing. In general, it's very overwhelming because you kind of can do everything. But if you try to do everything, at the end of the day, you'll do nothing. Pick one thing. Inbox triage of your email account. If you have plenty of different businesses or websites or something, start creating that funnel of a data source, feed it into one agent, tell it, I don't want to see any spam, just give me the actual clients that are trying to reach me. Put invoices here, put this there, put that there. Very easy, natural language, actual outcome that saves you time. Invoice chasing, for example. Definitely test Fable 5. We only have it for a week. If you have Claude and you are bought into that ecosystem, it would be a very good place to start. Set a KPI. If an agent does this on a recurring basis, how much time will it actually save me? And keep in mind that you actually have to account the time of setup into this equation. Because this is a thing, especially for the developers in this room. We tend to overcomplicate things. We tend to over-engineer things. And at the end of the day, we spent 15 hours solving something that could have been done in one. And if you apply that as a small business, it will actually reverberate, and it will just, you will spend 300 hours fixing something to save you 15 minutes a day. That's not feasible. So take time into equation. How much time will it actually save me? And only start doing workflows that make sense for you. And keep a human gate. This is a thing that a lot of people are striving to get rid of. It's like, let AI do everything. Please don't. Like, please keep yourself somewhere either in the loop or on top of the loop. Like, be in the equation. AI is a random number generator machine in general. That's the best possible explanation for what it is. It does approximation of a next token, what it thinks that the next token should be in order to satisfy your demand. Sometimes it thinks wrong, and that's okay. That's why you are there as a human, to actually do the quality check, to be the gate that says, this workflow is good, this workflow is bad. This output is good, this output is bad. Redo the workflow, redo the loop. Keep yourself in the loop. We have been trying for a long time to abstract ourselves from the loop. Not yet. That's my general.
Quick question.
Yeah.
Is it really free for this week, or is it just you will use it with a subscription? Still use your...
It uses your subscription and it eats through that quite quickly. Again, this is, normally I do these with Opus 4.6 actually. And they always came out good. Like, the research behind all of this was fine, but I had to redo the slides on the fly as I was sitting here. I didn't check them, and they're kind of crap. So sorry about that. Yeah.
About small businesses, if I have a workflow that flop because it's been, I don't know, co-work didn't do it. No, co-work, it's Codex didn't do it well.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to just move it to co-work to overdo it, or just give the stick to co-work and just fix it and do it yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Which is your recommendation? How should I go approach to this thing?
Excellent question. Now, workflow, I don't know what that is for you, but usually it's like, think about it from the N8N perspective. It's a set of nodes. Each node is connected to something. Like, either it's purely AI, so you feed it something, it transforms, moves it along the line, or you're connecting external services. So in order to hand off what you have in Codex and move it to co-work, you have to have the same setup first. That's step one. Step two, prompt it. And honestly, even Codex, when they say like, oh, migrate your history from Anthropic to OpenAI and vice versa, what they give you is a prompt. It's literally, take this, output it as a JSON, give a proper schema, and give me the file. And then you go to the next provider and you just drag it in. That's it. So prompt it to actually export it, to make that workflow suitable for export, and include words like dependencies, connections, connectors, and tell it to basically properly name every single part of the workflow and what is it connected to. It will give you a JSON file. You don't have to read it. be honest, and just slap it into Claude Cowork and continue. That would be your best bet. All right. The compliance clock. So 20 days to Colorado. Colorado AI Act enforces, comes into effect June 30th. If you're selling use of AI in consequential decisions for hiring, lending, housing, and insurance, this will start to get regulated. Again, it's going to roll out worldwide eventually. Everything that you are creating that has AI baked in, it will eventually come to a point where the regulators will stomp on it. And usually, like some areas are already heavily regulated. Like you can't really just whip up a health app with AI. You will immediately get flagged. Like that app, unless it's on your own website where no one really looks at, on a Play Store, on the App Store, on iOS, it will immediately get flagged. Fun fact, by the way, 1,000 new apps an hour is the number of apps that are being submitted to App Store. It's getting ridiculous. So take that into consideration. And EU, big wave, August 2nd. If you have EU customers, basically just look into what is the latest regulation. From the piece that I know of, every agent will need to have a GDPR portion baked in, because even the data that you are sharing with AI could be considered private. So every chatbot, actually, like literally every chatbot on the market falls under that criteria. When GDPR rolled out, I remember that because I was running e-commerce stores back in that day, it was a major headache. Like you have to keep track of cookies, of every single, absolutely terrible. Data protection officers, named entities, how are you treating the data, request for deletion, you have to satisfy that and prove it. You know, all of these little bits and pieces. Now, when chatbots rolled out, usually a GDPR panel on the website saying, we're using your data for X and Y was enough. Now there is a secondary thing that you have to keep track of, because that one is a separate entity. When users are inputting the data into a chatbot, it might be personal. And in order for, like, you have two options. You can either use a secondary model to start checking if the data is personal, which incurs cost, or alternatively, you treat every data that is being input by the users as private and personal. There are a couple of frameworks and a couple of startups that are basically dealing with this compliance. They're already on the market. I was actually contacted by a couple of them a while ago. But yeah, in general, EU markets with AI, a little bit finicky. If you strive to open for European markets, aim for some low-hanging fruit like warehousing or logistics, you know, the stuff that doesn't really deal with primarily personal data. Yeah. Friendly repos. Now, out of these, I've actually deployed this one, which is very cool. It's the Open Notebook. Headroom, context compression layer for agents. For those of you who were here last week, we talked about LCM, which is lossless context management. What it does, in short, every time you reach a certain context length, it compresses it, summarizes it, and that becomes a block that gets appended to the next chunk of messages. What it means in practice, you come to 20,000 tokens of context, it squishes it into 500, saves the entire 20 into a database, and then takes that 500 and your last message and moves it forward. So you're basically continuously compressing what the agent sees, because the stream of messages until you reach the 200,000 token context window is something that basically continuously flows. You are inflating that to a certain degree. LCM is quite cool. If you haven't seen it or haven't had a chance to play with it, definitely give it a go. Primary use case is for agentic systems such as Hermes and OpenClaw. Secondarily, there is an adapter that I've tried to get working, and it kind of works. I mean, kind of, for codecs. So currently my codex actually rolls with this enlarged context window. It is definitely noticeable in my sessions. I'm hitting compactions way less than I used to, and it kind of retains the knowledge. Like when I ask about something that happened in the session, it basically goes into the database, and with 3 hops, it is exactly where it needs to be. So quite cool. Headroom. What it does, it basically squeezes the tool outputs, logs, and rack chunks before they hit the LLM. It utilizes hooks, local first, MCP based, super easy to set up. Give it a go. Last 30 days, agent-led research skill scores results by upvotes, basically sort of a triage. If you get a result on, let's say, Reddit or somewhere else, it looks at the secondary data as well, which is what happened in the last 30 days. Is it the problematics of, let's say, search results is that if I want to skew your search, I can do that. I can pay for it, 5,000 likes. But those 5,000 likes will come like starting today. They will be there in 30 days. 30 days after, the post or the piece of information that I want to poison your AI with, like, I'm not paying for that. So it's very unlikely that there will be a linear increase or like similar increase in the amount of likes, GitHub stars, etc. So this skill basically tells your AI, if you are doing research, look at what happened in the last 30 days. Agent reach gives your agents eyes on the closed internet, Twitter, Reddit, YouTube, transcripts, Bilibili, and Xiaohongshu. That's WeChat, isn't it? I think so. Without APIs. Docs are Chinese first and English available. How they are doing that, I have no clue. I haven't looked into that. I need to look into that because lately things that come out of China are pretty forward in terms of implementation. So I'll look into this. I'll let you know next week. Open Notebook. Think Notebook LM, open source version. I'm already utilizing it in one of the projects. It has, I would say, 60 to 70% of capabilities of Notebook LM. It can do podcasts as well. It doesn't do flashcards. It doesn't do some other data transformations out of research, but you're very much able to establish research notebooks, input sources, and it has a cron job that can update and keep the data fresh. This one, definitely, I highly recommend. Yeah, I think it would be a good time to actually plug in Rumata. Let's go. Let's get on with it. Yeah. There you go. Oh, actually, can we give you a mic? There you go.
I'll do double mics.
Okay.
Is it like,
I have to mirror it.
Yeah, start mirroring here. So first of all, hi everybody. Thank you for having us today. I know it's a bit unusual in this weekly meetups. but thank you, Martin, for letting us have the stage today. So I'm Nisan, and this is Yoel, and we are the co-founders of Fermata. Fermata is an AI-driven cloud, essentially a vibe software, if you will. Imagine the full capabilities of a cloud with the infrastructure and interface of a vibe coding. So we all know the current landscape. We have n8n, we have n8n, we have Lovable, we have AWS, we have Cloud Code, Supabase, all of those tools. But we know that to create a complete system, you need to use at least 2 of those tools. And the problem with it is, A, you need to learn a new tool, which is always difficult and easy to get used to. B, to integrate them all is a hassle, and it's an ongoing hassle. For instance, if you take Lovable and n8n, you build a beautiful app on Lovable. You want to connect it to your complex workflow on n8n. You change one thing on Lovable, your workflow will break. This is exactly the gap that we want to bridge. We want to do an all-in-one platform. We're doing an all-in-one platform that you can build complex system on, and you don't need to integrate different tools. Everything is in one place, from the actual app to the deployment. So what you can build on top of Fermata is essentially everything: SaaS platform, production and API, enterprise systems, as well as hyper-complex DevOps systems. But I know that I said a lot of words, and nobody likes words without actions. So because the majority of us are expats in this room, and we all dealt with the problem of not having the lingo for Thai, I created a Thai learning app just so you can see what you can create with a few prompts. So you even have a sign-in page. Sorry. That Fermata created automatically for you. You basically chat with the chat, and it creates everything from complex workflows to a front end. And it created this for me in case I ever want to sell this Duolingo app to somebody else. So let's do a quick lesson.
สวัสดี
Does it perfectly. It worked. It took a while to work on Destiny, but we all know that means hello. Scroll down, next challenge, very gamified. Lagon means goodbye. I also heard it means I want to kill myself, but we'll go with that. And you get the gist. But as I said, you can just chat with the chat and it will create everything for you. But because we're technical people in this room somewhat, I'll show you the System Explorer, which is where the magic of Fermata really happens. Here you can see the project overview. So you can see the API routes, the database schema, the workflows, activities, and front end. You can preview each one of them, but I'll give you a quick taste of what it feels like from the inside. So this is the database studio. You can view the tables, you can view the diagram of the table, and to see the schema of them, and to see how they connect with each other. You can see the SQL editor as well. And if we go to workflows, you can see the workflow that was created. And you can see the workflow itself. You can see the API gateway connect to the SQL executor. If you're missing a node in a workflow and you need to create this workflow, you can simply ask Fermata to create this node, and it will create the workflow as well. And it will be in activities. So activities is the nodes of Fermata. So you can see that I created a line integration as well. I just asked the chat of Fermata to create me a line integration, and it created the node for me, the activity, and it created the workflow as well. And you can, of course, view it in the code itself, edit it. You can edit and view all the code and add more code here. And you
This
can.
is the activity, right? This is the node that the AI automatically created and deployed to the cloud, so it will be runnable and integrated inside a workflow. So that's Python code with requirements, whatever you need.
And just a cherry on top, you have a file storage as well. Any questions?
Can I drill down?
Of course. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay, so how easy is it? How easy is it to actually connect external services to this? Because right off the bat, I wouldn't trust myself. I wouldn't trust most of the AI on the market to actually generate auth that is supposed to be customer facing.
Yeah. So I think we can split this question into two segments. First of all, there are built-in activities. For auth, for example, you get user register and user login out of the box. Those are high grade of security. You don't need to worry about anything. However, if you want to implement any other login system, you can. For instance, this line messages, as we showed earlier, is pure Python code with whatever requirements. You can literally git clone to here any open source that you have and have it as an activity, which is basically a node later in the workflow. That's one. And the second thing is that behind the scenes you can have any compute that you want, meaning not only Python, not only other languages, but literal services, containers, whatever you need. So, yeah, built-ins, and if you want something that's out of the ordinary, ask the chat. He can obviously, test that it works and later integrate it.
And by the way, I did mention, but we do not limit you to a model. You can choose your model.
Do you have a CI/CD integrated inside?
Yeah, so CI/CD, you have few layers of the system, right, that you would want CI/CD for. One is for the database. You don't want to work on the production database, so you have staging and production. We're also always open for exploration in those areas. So that's the database. Activity. Per version of the activities, you can see the YAML here, right? Per version of the activity, you get a build. A build is basically an artifact that you can later reference in the workflow. Meaning if you change the activity and you don't want all workflows to break, you can pinpoint a version of the activity. That's another CI/CD pipeline. And the third one is for the front end, which you have your local development, and every time you want to submit changes, first of all, this is an accessible link, like for the staging of the front end. But if you want to go to production, another CI/CD, you can just hit deploy, and it will deploy. Yeah. So everything is versioned with CI/CD.
Where are these servers located?
That's a good question. So we look at it in two manners. The first one, if you want to have fully automated. If you want to go fully automated, this will run on the servers of Romata, which are scattered basically all around the world. You can choose your region, that's one. Two, for bigger clients, we also have a dynamic or mixed infrastructure where the heavy load of the compute runs on your cloud, so the data won't get out, right? Because your data is confidential and you don't want it hanging around in someone else's cloud. And we just manage the metadata.
So you can choose that European service maker
Yeah,
apply for European customers.
exactly. Sure. Anyone else?
Okay. So
How do we go to a live domain? So that's probably one thing that's honestly the one question that I personally get asked the most. Is that, okay, I want to make an app. Now, let's say you already built the entire thing from like start to finish. The app is a whole. It's not just the front end, funny clicky buttons. So it has some substance behind it. Now, the next step for a non-technical person is that how do I actually get it to an app store? How do I actually get it online? So what is your process in this?
Yep.
Where do I put my domain?
So when you hit deploy, you can just choose, and if the subdomain is available, that's out of the box. And for a literal domain, this is to be developed feature. But just click on the button, choose whatever domain you want, and there you go, you are live.
So currently we are in Rumata ecosystem.
Yeah, you can have your subdomain.
But if it's important for any of you in the upcoming, let's say,
1 week, 2 weeks.
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
very cool.
Yeah.
And if any of you would like to test Ramata, you can scan the QR code, and everybody that is in this meetup will give you $10 free credit to test it out. It's enough to create a solid MVP.
Free money.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
We are here for after, and
Yes.
Again, thank you very much.
And we're basically here every day in 4C, so if you have any questions, just come up.
Let's say I have already a project and
Excuse me?
let's say I have already a project that I deploy on Vercel and I have my database or Superbase and whatever.
Yep.
And now you can't off everything in one place. Do you have any option to easily move my project from all these different tools to yours?
Yeah, so that's a very good question also. We don't have yet any automatic tools to move from those systems. By the way, you have so many to move from, so that's kind of hard. But Supabase does provide you an export of the schema, which is easy. You can also extract all the Postgres data. Supabase is Postgres behind the scene, and integrating this inside is very easy. And as for the front end, you saw this is just a full-blown repo. So you can have whatever you want inside of here. This is, I think, React in this specific. So take from Vercel whatever repo you want, git clone into here. That's your own development machine, by the way. Something that we did not mention. In here, by default, it runs open code. But if you want to change to Cloud Code, Codex, whatever, that's your own development machine. So git clone your front end, I'm assuming you're familiar with the term?
Not 100%, I'm just getting, I'm learning, let's say.
You just take the whole package of the files and slap it in here, and it will work outside of the box.
But we can help you if you are having trouble with it.
So from a technical perspective, this runs as a VM.
Yep, you have your own VM, persisted, you can install whatever you want inside, natively work as a developer. Yep.
Cool stuff.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. I'm going to plug my QR code as well, which is
Oh,
there's a WhatsApp group
Yeah,
for all of this. So if you want to join, I've placed a phone very into the middle of the table. Just scan the QR code. I try to keep it gated so only humans enter. That one is not for agents. So only people who are actually physically here get to join. So scan it. It's WhatsApp. I share pretty much just a summary of all of these meetups, some links every now and then, and yeah. So back to this market wobble that's happening. Can I
Yeah.
come back, please? No problem. Thank you very much. So market wobble. We are hearing news about the IPO of OpenAI, IPO of Anthropic, IPO of this and that. They're going to be grossly overvalued. So it's going to be a fun time. What does it mean for the market as a whole? No idea, but if they don't do well, I'm kind of scared because the AI bubble might pop, which for us, down-to-earth people, will actually mean that the subsidies will start to dry up. Frontier models will get more expensive in a way that we will experience shrinkflation. Your subscription will just not have as many tokens as it used to have. So things like the LCM and Headroom, I think it was called, Headroom, those will become way more relevant in the coming months, especially if there will be, let's say, mediocre to low market response to these IPOs. So keep an eye on them. it might be case sooner than later that you will need to think how many tokens you're actually burning through your session. SpaceX, woo, yeah, Goldman projects 160 billion in IPO proceeds driven by SpaceX, Anthropic, and OpenAI. It's going to be very cool.
Is that the 12?
What?
Is that the 12? That's SpaceX, right?
Oh, in general, this is the proceeds. So whatever they're raising during the IPO.
Yeah.
That will be the total cash that people will offer to the altar of the gods to be burned, pretty much. Glasswing expands. If you're familiar with Project Glasswing, it was an initiative from Anthropic that basically said that the most frontier model that they have on hand will be provided to the companies that are actually holding the entire internet together. I mean, yeah, I kind of like that. I kind of like the way that they will allow you to actually have a little bit of head start, especially if you are a company that deals with cybersecurity, if you are dealing with critical systems. Access to these frontier models is a little bit willy-nilly, and we can see the foundational cracks happening all over the place. One that personally got me, I thankfully wasn't fully embedded in that system, but Composio, which is like a middleware that connects you to 500 different services, think Zapier, but of today's day and age, of the agentic era. Composio got completely pawned through like a faulty cache, and a ton of people got their API keys stolen, and even some actual data was stolen. So yeah, and that's just one. We have supply chain attacks on NPM. We have Linux kernel hacks, and it's only going to get worse from here. To a certain degree, the cybersecurity researchers also have access to these frontier models, but there's just going to be many, many more bad actors than there are good actors in the game. And it doesn't really help that companies such as Microsoft, which is, again, like a tiny bit of news, there are several zero-day vulnerabilities in Microsoft. For those not familiar with the term zero-day, it means that every machine has it. Like all of the instances of Windows have that fault. Bless you. No problem. All of the instances of Windows have that fault, and only 5 of the 9 got patched, as far as I know, to this date. And it was made by a disgruntled employee. Well, not even employee. It was a white hat hacker. The way that these security audits usually go, especially for massive corporations with massive code bases, such as Microsoft, is that you actually publish a bounty. Find me what's wrong with my system, and if it's critical, I'm gonna pay you. Like, you're doing the job. So they have this bug bounty program, but apparently for the last year, they weren't paying out. So the white hat hackers were like, we're working for free for a multi-billion-dollar corporation, for a trillion-dollar corporation. Hell no. So normally, what happens is that you submit it, and there is a 90-day grace period, in which time they need to acknowledge it, and they need to start fixing it. They might even hire you for the fix, which is great. But since they were not paying out, dude basically said, okay, here, and just published them publicly. So suddenly, a lot of the Windows machines on the market are absolutely vulnerable to the attacks. And this is going to happen more and more often. So Glasswing is expanding, more sectors, more areas. And I think one of the ones that is a little bit underappreciated is energy, because that is something that we should definitely protect. ChatGPT, memory overhaul. So they did rework ChatGPT's memory system last week. which might be why I'm getting such crappy responses from GPT. I'm not even gonna lie, like the difference is night and day, especially for my specific work and my workflows. 5.5 was just getting dumber by the day, and I had to implement extra procedures such as LCM to actually keep it in check. I had to integrate it with a whole new brain just to keep it in check so it doesn't really go retarded, because it starts to go retarded. And as all of you know, there is no worse feeling than one day everything works and the next day the same thing, the same flow that you had is completely broken. And then you start second guessing yourself, like, am I doing something different? Am I prompting it wrong? Did I omit some facts? Why does it not know that there is a file over here? Why is it not checking for it? Apparently, it's their fault. So, yeah. And they have 1 billion monthly active users reported, which is quite a feat for any singular company. Keep in mind, most of these active users are actually free tier, which is a fun fact as well. Free tier was limited and botched down to like 4,000 tokens of context, which is incredibly small. Like if you're not paying for it, you get a warm chat with an AI, and that's pretty much it. You ask it to do one or two things and it needs to compact, it needs to like hand off to a next session, which actually degrades performance. So yeah. What can we do this week? Definitely try Fable 5. It's a new model, play with it, have fun with it. Whatever you used to do with Opus, try to do the same thing with Fable 5, see where it lands you. Key piece of information and a fact about this release, they are not discontinuing the previous model, which is actually quite huge. So if you don't want to roll with Fable 5, don't. Like stay on Opus. It's completely fine. And 4.8, surprisingly capable and really good for many use cases, spanning from personal to design and to coding. 3-step compliance pass, this, if you already have a product, definitely look for all of the licensing. If you're including open source repositories, if you're having some packages that you're unclear about licensing, what gets you, it's AGPL3. That usually means that AI has no problem including it in your project. As you're coding your app away, it just grabs it, places it in, but the moment you want to actually start selling, you are liable. Because AGPL3 is usually for personal use only, not for business use. So take a mental note of that. If you can, deploy Open Notebook. It's quite cool. If you've never experienced Notebook LM, which is a very cool piece of software, this is the next best thing, and you can actually get it working on your own and for free. Well, free. Free in terms that you can hook it to your OpenAI subscription. And keep an eye on M3. It should be dropping tomorrow-ish. We don't know which time. But once it drops, it might be very, very, very good. And especially for a project such as Rumata, if you want to have your own specifically post-trains model that will run on a couple of GPUs through RunPod or something, that might be the case. Like it depends on the business size because these models are usually quite costly to run. But yeah, it basically means you are not on a leash from companies such as Anthropic or OpenAI, especially with the wonky pricing that they have.
You can hyperchange them as well because of the open weights.
Well, yeah. Yeah, but the post-training regimen with open weights, you have to take a full precision model, which is twice the size in gigabytes what it is in parameters. just kind of chunky. And then the post-training regime is something that is actually quite resource intensive. The best bets, if any of you want to get into post-training, start with low-rank adapters. They're called LoRa's. Very easy to generate. You need a very small data set to actually generate it. And the output will be night and day. From a general purpose to a low-rank adapter attached model, the output for a specific task that you want it to do is absolutely night and day. And it's the most, I don't want to say primitive, but the most basic form of post-training. Especially powerful on small models. Like 9 billion with low-rank adapter actually gets the job done if you point it at the right direction with the right data set. Big ones, you would have quite a hard time. So, thank you very much. Thank you very much for coming. I think this was pretty much it. I'm gonna say goodbye to our live stream. Bye bye, guys. And we're going to split into a breakout discussion